Welcome back to another week of Steelers madness, where the draft season is heating up and anticipation is at an all-time high. We're just days away from the NFL draft in Green Bay, and today I'm bringing you the 7th mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this 2025 cycle. With only a handful of simulations left before the big day, this one is especially important. So if you've been following along, buckle in because we're diving deep into another round of picks. No trades this time, just pure, straightforward drafting based on need, fit, and potential impact. As always, if you're enjoying the content and want more, interaction helps keep this series going strong. But let's jump into the action because time's ticking and the stakes are high. Kicking things off with the 21st overall pick, I've got Pittsburgh selecting Derek Harmon, the dynamic defensive lineman from Oregon. Honestly, I'm surprised it took me this long to include him in one of these simulations. Harmon is the kind of prospect that feels tailor-made for a team like the Steelers. We all know Cam Hayward's days as a starter are numbered, not because he can't still play, but because Father Time waits for no one. That's why bringing in a young, explosive player like Harmon makes so much sense. From day one, he can be part of a rotation, learning under one of the best in the business while providing immediate value in pressure packages and early down run support. Harmon plays with that rare blend of explosiveness and agility that you just don't find often in someone his size. He's got that quick-twitch energy off the snap, the kind that collapses pockets and forces quarterbacks off their spots. Add to that a toolbox full of pass rush moves, hand counters, swims, rips, you name it, and you're looking at a guy who can win in multiple ways. And let's not overlook the strength. Harmon's power is real. When he gets his hands inside, he drives linemen back with authority, something the Steelers will absolutely covet in those hybrid fronts. He's versatile enough to play the 5-tech in odd fronts and can slide into a 3-tech role when they switch to 4-man alignments. That flexibility alone boosts his value. Now, if there's one red flag, it's his tackling technique. His missed tackle rate is north of 20%, which is concerning, but also somewhat contextual. A lot of those missed tackles come from how disruptive he is. He gets so deep into the backfield that sometimes the ball carrier can shift angles and escape arm tackles. That's coachable. That's fixable. You give that kind of athlete to a good defensive line coach, and they'll clean it up. What's exciting is that Harmon has openly modeled parts of his game after Hayward. He said as much during Senior Bowl week, and that makes this pairing feel even more natural. Imagine a line with Hayward, Benton, and Harmon, 3 guys who can all slide between techniques, who can rush the passer, hold up against the run, and bring that Steelers grit to the trenches. Harmon doesn't have to be an every down guy from day one, but he can contribute right away while learning the nuances of the NFL. That's the kind of long-term play Pittsburgh has always done well with. Look at the development track they had with guys like Stephon Tuitt and Tyson Alualu. Harmon can follow that path. It's all about building waves on the defensive line, and Harmon's skill set gives them a chance to keep their interior front fresh, nasty, and dangerous for years to come. Now, I need to come clean about something before we move forward. I said earlier that I wasn't going to repeat any picks from past mock drafts this year. And for the most part, I've stuck to that rule. But I'm making an exception here because the conversation around quarterbacks is too important to ignore. Let's talk about Tyler Shough, the quarterback out of Louisville. I had him pegged late in a previous simulation, but after going back to his film and reevaluating him against this year's quarterback class, I'm convinced he deserves more attention. And yes, I'm fully aware that he's 26 years old, which is unusual for a rookie. But honestly, I don't care. Age might matter for some positions, but not as much for quarterbacks, especially ones who show the kind of traits Shough does. We're talking about a 6'5", 225-pound passer with legitimate mobility, a strong arm, and the kind of pocket presence that stands out when you watch the tape. He's currently sitting around 84th overall on the consensus board, but that aligns perfectly with a 3rd-round selection, and I think that's great value. What makes Shough so intriguing is how polished he looks compared to some of the more hyped names. When I stack him up against guys like Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart, I honestly think Shough is more ready to step in and run an NFL offense. He processes quickly, he's accurate in the intermediate range, and he throws with anticipation. That's what separates the project quarterbacks from the ones who can survive early reps. He's not just throwing fastballs into tight windows. He's reading defenses, manipulating safeties, and making smart decisions. Sure, he's not going to have the same runway as a 21-year-old. But if you're drafting a quarterback outside the first round, you're not expecting a 5-year rebuild. You want a guy who can compete, push the room, and maybe, just maybe, become the starter if things break right. Shuck gives you that. The age concern? I'm not buying it. Teams have shown time, and again, they'll overlook that if the talent is there. And I've heard from plenty of folks around the league that age isn't scaring off as many front offices as you'd think. Quarterbacks are playing well into their 30s now. If Shuck pans out, he could give you a solid decade of play. And that's if he only hits a B-level ceiling. What really seals the deal for me is his demeanor. This is a guy who has been through adversity, bounced between programs, and emerged sharper and more resilient. He's got leadership traits, he commands the huddle, and he's not afraid to take risks on the field. You need that edge if you're going to make it as a quarterback in Pittsburgh or anywhere in the AFC North for that matter. That division is a meat grinder, and the guys who survive it are the ones who don't blink. If Pittsburgh decides to pass on a quarterback in round 1, and I totally understand why they might, given the value elsewhere, I think grabbing Shuck in round 3 or 4 is a smart hedge. He gives you a developmental option with actual upside and the maturity to handle the pressure of the position. And who knows? Maybe he's not just a hedge. Maybe he's the guy. I know some of you are already typing out your "he's too old" takes, but let me challenge that for a second. Would you rather take a younger project who needs 3 years on the bench, or someone who could legitimately push for snaps as a rookie? For a team that doesn't have the luxury of waiting around, I know what direction I'd go. Let's pick up right where we left off. The Steelers have already addressed 2 crucial needs in this mock draft, with Derek Harmon shoring up the defensive line and Tyler Shuck offering a high-upside developmental quarterback. Now, as we head into day 3 of the draft, this is where the scouting really starts to show its value. The 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds are where rosters are built out. Not with flashy names, but with grinders, specialists, and players with chips on their shoulders. And if there's one team that's consistently found value in these rounds, it's Pittsburgh. They've made a habit out of finding quality role players, developmental gems, and even starters late in the draft. And this year's class presents a few intriguing names who could follow in that tradition. With the first of their day 3 picks, I've got Pittsburgh selecting Zion Tapuleifetuwe, an edge rusher out of Washington. Now, this is a name that was getting a lot more buzz a couple of years ago, but injuries and scheme changes hurt his production. Still, the flashes are there. He's a powerful, long-arm pass rusher who can play with leverage and knows how to convert speed to power. He's not the kind of edge player who will beat you with pure twitch off the snap, but he's got that grinder mentality, and he's technically sound. The Steelers don't need another TJ Watt. They need someone who can spell Alex Highsmith or step in as a rotational guy and hold the edge without getting pushed around. Tapuleifetuwe gives you that. His best trait might be his ability to set a firm edge in the run game, something that often gets overlooked in evaluations. You put him in a room with guys like Watt and Highsmith, let him learn, and suddenly you've got a capable backup who can play meaningful snaps when injuries inevitably happen. Another day 3 addition that makes sense for the Steelers is Mekhi Wingo, the defensive tackle from LSU. He's not a big-name guy, but he's a lunch pail type who does all the little things well. He's not flashy. He's not going to rack up sacks or highlights. But he's consistent. He plays with leverage, keeps his pad level low, and holds his ground in the run game. That kind of player has value in Pittsburgh's system, especially when you consider how they like to rotate their defensive line. Wingo would be a perfect fit as a rotational piece behind Harmon and Benton, especially in short yardage and goal line situations. He's also got the kind of motor you love to see. He doesn't quit on plays, even if he's being double-teamed. That kind of effort stands out in the later rounds. You're not always drafting traits at this stage. You're drafting attitude, effort, and football IQ. Wingo checks all those boxes. Now, I've got a sneaky pick at wide receiver that I think Steelers fans are going to love, Jaden Thompson out of Louisville. He's not a burner, and he's not going to dominate contested catches like George Pickens, but he's a polished route runner with a knack for finding soft spots in zone coverage. Every quarterback needs a security blanket, And Thompson has that profile. He's shifty off the line, understands how to manipulate defenders at the top of his routes, and has reliable hands. Think about the kind of role that guys like Hunter Renfrow or Jacoby Myers carved out in the league. Thompson can fit into that mold. He's the kind of receiver who moves the chains. He might not put up 1,000 yards in a season, but he'll convert third downs, work the slot, and give his quarterback a consistent outlet. With Deontay Johnson gone, there's room for someone to step in and handle those intermediate routes. It might take some time, but Thompson's polish and work ethic could earn him that opportunity. Let's talk special teams for a minute. It's not glamorous, but it's a big part of what makes Pittsburgh successful. They value guys who can play multiple roles on kick coverage, punt coverage, and even return units. Enter Miles Slusher, a defensive back from Louisville who brings that versatility. He's played nickel, safety, and some outside corner, but what really jumps off the tape is how physical he is in space. He's not afraid to throw his body around, and he's a sure tackler in open field situations. That's the kind of profile that screams special teams contributor. You need those guys late in the draft, players who can stick on the roster by being the first ones down the field on kickoff and punt coverage. But there's more to Slusher than just that. He's got instincts. He reads plays quickly, breaks on the ball with confidence, and isn't afraid to mix it up against the run. With some coaching, he could develop into a dime package defender or even push for a backup role in the secondary. He's the kind of pick that doesn't make headlines but ends up playing 200 valuable snaps a year. As we near the end of the draft, the priority shifts even more towards special teams, depth, and long-term upside. So with their final pick, the Steelers take a swing on a raw but intriguing offensive tackle prospect, Andrew Coker out of TCU. Now, Coker isn't a finished product by any stretch. He's big, long, and athletic, but his technique is all over the place. His hand placement is inconsistent, and he can get caught leaning in pass protection. But here's the thing. He's 6'7", 320 pounds, and he moves like a tight end. You can't teach that kind of size and athleticism. What you can teach is how to use it. Give him a year on the practice squad, work with him on fundamentals, and you might have a legitimate swing tackle on your hands. Pittsburgh has done this before, found late-round offensive linemen, developed them slowly, and turned them into contributors. Coker is a project, no doubt, but he's the kind of project worth taking in the 7th round. There's no pressure on him to start, no immediate expectations, just a shot at developing into something useful down the line. When you zoom out and look at the full picture of this mock draft, it's a well-rounded approach. You've got early investments in premium positions, defensive line and quarterback, balanced by calculated risks and depth pieces on day 3. There's a clear vision here. Add impact players early, build out depth and special teams talent late, and take swings on traits in the final rounds. It's not about winning the draft headline. It's about building a roster that can compete, stay healthy, and remain consistent over a 17-game season. The Steelers have always valued the kind of blue-collar, no-nonsense team building. It's part of the franchise's DNA. You look at the names in this mock, and you can imagine them fitting into the locker room, competing in camp, and earning their way onto the roster the hard way. That's the Steeler way. That's what makes this draft class, at least on paper, feel like a group that could grow into something special. We'll leave it there for now, with the 7th edition of this Steelers mock draft officially in the books. As always, things will change between now and draft night, and maybe some of these names rise or fall depending on their final visits, medicals, or late-breaking rumors. But for now, this mock paints a realistic and exciting picture of how Pittsburgh can continue building toward the future. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A sensational buzz has enveloped the NFL, and this time it's not about the draft or free agent signings. Instead, it's about one of the league's most electrifying players, Tyreek Hill, and his potential move to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Miami Dolphins star, known for his lightning-quick speed and record-breaking performances, may be on the move after expressing frustration with his current team's failure to make the playoffs in 2024. The timing of Hill's discontent combined with the Steelers' search for an elite playmaker has sparked rumors that could reshape the NFL landscape. Hill, often called Cheetah due to his unparalleled speed, has long been one of the NFL's top wide receivers. His resume includes numerous Pro Bowl selections, an all-decade team nod, and a Super Bowl 54 championship with the Kansas City Chiefs. After making waves with Miami, breaking franchise records, and leading the NFL in receiving yards during the 2023 season, Hill has proven he's still among the league's elite. But now, after a disappointing season that saw the Dolphins miss the playoffs, whispers suggest that the wideout may be looking for a change of scenery. Enter the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team on the hunt for a bona fide game-changer to complement quarterback Kenny Pickett. With a strong defense and a stable offense, the Steelers could be the perfect landing spot for Hill to make his mark in the AFC North. The idea of pairing Hill with rising stars like Pickett and George Pickens in the Steelers' offense has excited fans and analysts alike. Imagine Hill, with his speed and playmaking ability, in the same lineup as a quarterback on the verge of greatness. A deadly combination in the making. The Steelers have had a history of bringing in high-profile players, and their aggressive pursuit of talent could make Hill an ideal target. The potential trade could also be mutually beneficial. For the Dolphins, moving Hill could clear up salary cap space and open the door for younger, less costly options. For Hill, joining a team with championship aspirations would give him the opportunity to chase another Super Bowl ring while playing in one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. With rumors swirling about his future in Miami, the Steelers' interest may very well become more than just speculation. As the offseason continues, the NFL world will be eagerly watching to see if these rumors materialize into reality. Will Tyreek Hill become the latest star to join the Pittsburgh Steelers' storied franchise, or will the Dolphins manage to keep their star receiver in the fold for another season? One thing is for sure, wherever Hill lands, his next chapter promises to be one of the most exciting in the league. Stay tuned as this story develops. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.